Hey there everybody, we are here at the first annual MADE show in Portland, Oregon, an amazing collection of bikey stuff. In this video, I'm going to ask these industry vets what they think are the most overrated and underrated things in the bike industry. So let's hear what they have to say. So we're going to ask you 3 questions that we've been asking everybody at the show so far. First one is, what is the most overrated thing in the bike industry today?
Overrated, boy, that's a laundry list.
Most overrated is plastic bikes.
Overrated. Ooh. I feel like chasing the latest and greatest components.
Yeah.
Because even at like the lower and mid tiers, they're really good.
It's like internally routed cables.
As an engineer, I can see where people have come from in a lot of different places. But one thing that just really irks me is different free hubs. I would really like it to just stay HG and a single speed free hub.
Outboard bearing bottom brackets.
Overrated headset. I mean, you're not doing bar spins. You know what I mean? Like, you only, like, if you feel my headset, like, I'll let headsets go until they're like,
Indexed.
they're indexed. But when you get on the bike, you never feel it. As long as the ball bearings are somewhat round, you know?
Rated, probably UDH.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking that I'm showing a UDH bike here.
It's wide handlebars. You don't need bars that wide.
Overrated. Electronic shifting.
As a bike builder, overrated is internal routing.
Yeah.
Only because it's kind of a pain.
The most overrated thing is weight. If you're trying to win a Tour de France mountaintop stage finish, it matters a little. It matters. For virtually everyone else, like, the fractions are really minimal.
I'm not a big fan of wireless electric shifting. I'm a mechanical guy.
This is a safe space for that.
The most overrated thing is 3D printing.
So many things are too elite, too expensive, and not accessible to people. And so I think, like, the most overrated thing in the industry is price point.
I would say, racy geo.
Yeah.
I want a comfortable bike.
Like, some technology, I think, is just like turning on the technology gun and the design gun and like hosing everything down is kind of ridiculous in some ways. That's largely where a lot of my design and my aesthetic comes from, is like using things that have been around, using technology standards that have been around long enough that I know that they're not going to go away.
You know, gravel bikes, I will say, are overrated. Yeah, I think, because I work at a bike shop, and so every person coming in the door is looking for a gravel bike, which tends to boil down to a hybrid bike. It does it all. That's what you need, folks, a hybrid bike. Most bikes over 35 mil tires are gravel bikes.
I'm gonna go really out on a limb here and say tubeless tires.
Really?
I don't know, some of my bikes are tubeless, but like some of them aren't, and they're fine, you know?
Double-decker bars.
Double-decker bars.
Dropper posts, I could go on and on. All this stuff is just, I think people are just trying to make the bike way more complicated than it needs to be, and losing sight of the simplicity of why we're riding bikes in the first place. Like anything else, I feel like just get a motorcycle.
Hey guys, sorry for the interruption. If you guys are enjoying this video so far, please consider supporting the channel by joining us on Patreon or picking up some merch. MADE was super fun to attend and shoot, but a trip like this is definitely not cheap, especially for a smallish YouTube channel like us. Every bit counts. Links below. Let's go back to the video. How about the most underrated thing on bike?
I would say the opposite of gear acquisition and spending your money on trips, going interesting places is far more rewarding in a lot of ways than like new handlebars or something like that.
I think front racks. I think pass and stow racks actually are the most underrated. Everyone loves them, but they deserve all the love they can get. Maybe flat pedals. It really changed my riding, switching from clips to flats. So I tried flat pedals. I think I rode more just like to commute and get on my bike, because it wasn't like an extra thing to put on bike shoes, and also just trail riding. I felt a lot more confident and playful making that switch.
End of the spectrum, what do you think is the most underrated piece of bike tech?
Underrated piece of bike tech. I hate to just be a broken record with the square taper bottom bracket. The lowly square taper bottom bracket. Yeah, it's all hidden inside the frame. I I got a narrow queue is what, a narrow queue with a good chain line. The front derailleur, why not? Let's say the front derailleur.
Is the dynamo and the use of the dynamo. I think that is really kind of one of those things that I feel like all bikes should have the dynamo, just for the pure fact that bike is moving, you have lights, you're safer. I feel like that's underrated. Like people a lot of your everyday cyclists don't understand that's a possibility. When we talk to them about the ability to have that wheel turn and illuminate, that like kind of blows their mind. They don't have to worry about charging lights or doing that. So I think dynamo might be underrated.
I think custom.
Yeah.
I think there's so many amazing makers out there who can make something that fits you perfectly, because no one person is a small, medium, large.
I think the most underrated thing in the bike industry, and this is changing more all the time, is that who gives a rip what's comfortable for a professional athlete? That is so irrelevant to all of our cycling, and obviously this is something that has been, preached by certain folks forever, so like this is nothing new, but I'm so stoked to see practical bikes become the cool bike.
Right.
Like the bike packing bike with sweat back bars that you can put stuff on is now a cool bike.
Right.
I think that it's on the rise, but it's smaller wheel diameters. I think that if you are just like looking at a fad for a wheel, you want a 29er or you want the 27.5, and you're not, especially as we're at a hand-built bike show as a frame builder, there are so many really cool configurations of wheels that really make sense depending on what you're building. So if you're just after a 29er because you want a 29er, I think you're missing the point.
Silver parts. Well, I don't know. I mean, like this bike, they're coming back. For a long time, they were kind of left in the dust, so it's good to see. I love silver parts. Underrated for sure.
Baskets. Baskets are totally underrated. Ironically, like I don't have any basket bikes here. I have a bike that I built for myself in the PDW booth called Cupcake. It's pink and white with brown frosting. And I love that bike. It's like flat pedals and baskets, and I think just like bikes that are versatile.
Underrated, the single speed. So we are diehard single speeders. Like all of us at the shop, it's what we ride. Most of our ambassadors are doing these amazing ultra race rides, the Triple Crown, things like that, all single speed. So all of our bikes, while they're designed for gears, they all have the ability to do that too. That's very intentional. So single speed, still underrated.
Underrated, steel forks.
The fixed gear bike. Super clean, really fun. Simple.
Underrated is a cable actuated drivetrain. Of course, I'm speaking from having a wireless one on here, but there's reason for that. It's pretty frustrating that you can't get the highest end drivetrains in mechanically actuated levers. Same thing with with brake levers. I'd love to run my clampers, but I can't with a lot, and that's also part of the reason why I'm doing something like this.
Underrated is steel. Steel is amazing material. I still think it gives the best ride quality, and the range of materials we have to choose from still make it the best material for custom bikes. We can tailor the material to the rider in a way that you can't do with any other material.
Honestly, you.
Oh, that's so nice.
Plus pedals. Seriously, I don't feel that you guys get the accolades that you deserve for shaping the industry.
If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. We've got 4 other videos from this show coming at you. As always, everybody, keep the supple side down.